Program, B.S. English. Course, Literary Criticism. Topic, Aristotle's concept of tragedy. Prepared by Dr. Shahryar Khan. Question. What are the essential constituents of tragedy according to Aristotle? Or, the constituent elements of tragedy work together to define first its complication and then the denouement. Explain with reference to Aristotle's Poetics. Definition. In the history of literature, Aristotle is the first ever critic who elaborated and philosophized the concept of tragedy and tragedy writing. His tragic theory is mainly based upon Greek tragedy, and most of the concepts which he discusses in Poetics are derived from the tragedies of Euripides, Aeschylus, and Sophocles. Aristotle has defined tragedy in the following words. A tragedy is the imitation of an action that is serious and also as having magnitude, complete in itself, in language with pleasurable accessories, each kind brought in separately in part of the work, in dramatic not in narrative form, with incidents arousing pity and fear, wherewith to accomplish the catharsis of such emotions. In order to comprehend this definition of tragedy, we have to clarify certain terms first as used by Aristotle, for example, imitation, action, and magnitude. Imitation. Aristotle's concept of imitation is in fact artistic imitation, and it does not involve mere copying. According to him, artistic imitation involves essence of universal truth. The poetic imitation is recreation or a creative production of objects. Aristotle is of the view that all arts are imitations, but they differ from one another in the object, manner and medium of imitation. The object of imitation is men, i.e. men involved in serious actions who are the characters of the tragedy. Manner is the way of presentation, that is, whether a work of art is narrative or dramatic, while medium is how a work of art is presented. For example, music has sound as medium and poetry has language. According to Aristotle, it is the manner of imitation because of which a tragedy is different from an epic. Action. The next important term used in the definition of tragedy is action. Action is interpreted by the critics as the progress of an individual from one position to another, at which he either dies or gets involved in a completely changed set of circumstances. In fact, action is the plot consisting of causal connection of the incidents. By complete in itself, Aristotle means that plot should have a beginning, middle, and end. A play should have good reasons for beginning where it begins and good reasons for ending where it ends. For example, T.R. Hen commented upon Hamlet in these words. At the opening of Hamlet there is every indication that if it were not for the appearance of the ghost, events in Denmark would have settled down into a period of rest. In this way, opening sets the pattern of action, middle is the development of the events, while the end is the most logical outcome of the tragic action. According to Aristotle, these three should be connected to one another with relationship of cause and effect or law of probability. Magnitude. Magnitude of a tragedy is interpreted by critics in different ways. Actually, it refers to the size or length of tragic action. A tragedy must have a suitable length, i.e. not so long that it can't be grasped by the audience and they may forget the initial parts. Moreover, it should not be short enough that there is no proper development of characters and tragic action. It should be well proportioned, allowing the natural development of events leading to the final catastrophe. Pleasurable accessories. By pleasurable accessories or embellishments, Aristotle means that the language of a tragedy should be grand and decorated to produce a charming effect. The language should be in accordance with the stature of the noble characters. By each kind brought in differently, Aristotle means that tragedy should use different kinds of embellishments, i.e. verse for the dialogues and songs for the chorus. Catharsis. In the last part of the definition, Aristotle has discussed the function of the tragedy. The function of tragedy is to arouse the feelings of pity and fear. When the audience watch upon the stage an individual who is an intermediate sort of person, that is, neither good nor bad and enjoying a great worldly position, but suddenly he commits an error of judgment. This error of judgment causes great suffering for him and he experiences a great fall. The audience feel pity for him because on the most part his suffering is undeserved. They feel fear for themselves because they think that this kind of situation can also occur to them. This pity and fear make them weep, and they have the catharsis of these emotions. Catharsis is a vague term and there are many interpretations of it. Its most popular interpretation is that catharsis is purgation. It means that human beings experience excess of certain emotions, and in order to keep balance in the body, the excess of these emotions must be removed. Through painful and terrible incidents of tragedy, the audience gets relieved of the inner restlessness. So tragedy provides an outlet for our pent-up feelings. This implies, the inner restlessness is removed by outer restlessness. As Plato has said, when babies are restless, you do not prescribe quiet for them, you sing to them and rock them to and fro. Further, tragedy can be divided into two parts with respect to the construction: the formative elements, the quantitative elements. Formative elements. Aristotle says that tragedy has 6 formative elements, that is plot, character, thought, diction, spectacle and song. Plot is the most important part of tragedy. Plot is the arrangement of incidents in a logical sequence, and it is the very soul of tragedy. He says that plot is like a living organism, and no part of it can be taken away without affecting its wholeness, proportion, and beauty. Plot should be artistically unified, and incidents should be linked together by causal connection. Aristotle says that plot is so much important that there can be a tragedy without character but not without plot. Plots are either simple or complex. Aristotle prefers a complex plot which has peripeteia and anagnorisis. Plots should also have 3 unities of time, place, and action. In Poetics, Aristotle has only mentioned unity of action, that is, in a tragedy only one action of the hero should be described which causes his fall, and there should be no subplots and interludes. The unities of time and place are not mentioned by Aristotle, and these are attributed to him by later critics. Formative elements continues. With reference to character, Aristotle says that a character should have 4 qualities: goodness, appropriateness, true to life, likeness, and consistency. By goodness, Aristotle means that a character should not have moral flaws. By appropriateness, he means that a character must be appropriate to the status that he represents. Being true to life is that he should act like real human beings in the given situation, and consistency means that a character should behave in a consistent manner throughout the tragedy, and if he is shown to be inconsistent, he should be consistently inconsistent. Thought is the intellectual element in a tragedy, and it is expressed through the characters. In fact, it is the theme of the tragedy, i.e., it tells us about the point of view of the writer. Now we come to the external formative elements of tragedy. Diction and song are concerned with medium of imitation, i.e., they are related with language. The spectacle is related to the manner of representation, as it represents a genre which is meant to be performed. Quantitative elements. Quantitative elements are prologue, episode, exode, and choric song. The prologue is the introduction, while episode is the development of the action. Exode is the final resolution in which all problems are solved and action comes to an end. Choric songs are an essential part of Greek tragedy. These songs add to the beauty of artistic work and also comment upon the tragic action. These quantitative elements are not applicable to modern drama and are related to typical Greek tragedy. Conclusion. To conclude, we can say that Aristotle's definition of tragedy is a great philosophical expression of the art of drama writing. The theory critically evaluates the intellectual and technical aspects of tragedy. But the fact that Aristotle was writing about the Greek tragedy has put certain limitations to his concepts. Later experiences in the field of tragedy have shown the immense scope for modification in Aristotle's theory. As we know, Elizabethans romanticized, and modern dramatists revolutionized the concept of tragedy. Even then, Aristotle's theory is considered a Bible for the art of drama writing.